Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ink Radio Podcast. So if everyone wants to know why we were a little bit late today, it's just blame Nine, guys.
All on me. Well, I will say, Waki also made this partially happen because he told me to wait longer to make sure that I could host you, and because of that, I had to push my snack and bathroom break run back a full, 10 minutes, so...
Dang it, yo, why are you giving Nine my tag, man?
Listen, I'm telling you, Nine came in
I don't
late.
want to be Walkman.
Everything got messed up. That's not
I
my
don't
fault.
want to be Walkman.
Was it 2 weeks in a row, I think, now?
Yeah, okay, listen. I'm just saying, you have to blame Nine for this one. There's no other option here.
Why are you blaming Nine? We waited an extra 5-10 minutes.
Because I don't know the placements until afterwards. And I was working on something else that you're going to see that's real nice. None of you guys know what's planned, okay? None of you guys know what's planned. You don't know what's behind the curtain.
Okay.
You can't see what I see.
Oh, wow, all right. Spoon the Oracle.
That's the funny part is we're not going to be able to see it anyway because I'm not watching the damn stream right now.
I mean, you should. You should be watching yourself because that's what
I have it open, yeah, so.
All right. Anyways, how's it going today, guys?
It's going well. It's been a fun day. Good workout. Recovered from my hike yesterday.
Did you recover from your hair too?
You tell me. You tell me. Did I recover from my hair?
I would say
it's definitely better than the
than the day one.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, this time I actually didn't do anything different. This is just how it was laying today. So fortunate.
You look tamed. You look really tamed. You don't look as wild and free.
Well,
who put you up to this? I
cut it shorter than I wanted to, man. It's gonna be back in.
Wait, did you cut it yourself?
No, I didn't. It's an expression, Spoon. It's an expression, and it's a touchy subject. I can just
imagine you taking the bowl and raising your head.
You made him put on the hat.
All right, now no one has to see it, Spoon.
Listen, the hair's not that bad. It's great. We finally have something on you. You're the golden boy, right?
That's true.
That being said, though, it's true. Your longer hair was part of your allure in a way. The fact that you don't have that long hair is just, I don't know. It's like a whole 25% of you is missing.
Yeah.
It doesn't even match his emote anymore.
I know. I'm getting back to it. Okay, my hair grows really fast, so within 2 weeks, it'll be back to almost what the emote is, and then after that, it'll be back and long and free. So it'll be back to where it is. I get 2 haircuts a year, so this was it.
How about you, Kendall? How's it going?
Yo, everything's going great. Had a very fun stream today. The tickets for the Negus vs Putz edition will happen soon. So I challenged him to a 1v1, so I want everybody to know that the stage is still there. He can come with his Clash Blaster whenever he's ready. So just know that, yeah, it was a great day. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and how was the rest of your week? I mean, I haven't talked to you for a whole 7 days, and I'm sure the chat hasn't seen you for 7 days.
7 days? What?
The last Tuesday was 7 days ago.
What? 7 days? Yeah, no, everything's been going great. Decided to play ball yesterday and almost died, but that's about it. I'm too old for this stuff now, man. It's time to just roll over and play dead. But yeah, I'm doing good. Everything's right.
How about you, Walkman?
I'm alright. Been a pretty boring week, I guess. Nothing really happened too much for me. Just been hitting the gym, doing what I can, and then, I mean, I'm excited for this. I guess Kendall puts 1v1. I think the Splatoon community needs more of that. You know, all those YouTubers.
It's like the Jake Paul versus KSI.
Yeah, we need that in there right here, man. I want to see that live.
To be fair, though, then we need to have Dude versus Putz. I'm sorry, because Dude's British.
That's just a stomping. We've already seen. We did it against Rockenberg, and I think we had the Etika edition, and that was just a burial. So I don't think we need any more of that from Dude. He's too good.
Didn't Milana just do one as well?
I don't know who won that one.
No idea.
I think she did. Against Rockenberg? I think that happened the other night, and I just caught the tail end of a tweet or something, and someone was in chat just oh, hey, look. In Rockenberg's Twitter post, he was like, oh, hey, look, you lost. And you lost again.
You lost again.
So I didn't see it. If anyone wants to correct me, please do. I kind of filled in the blanks on that.
I wish there was more. I wish there was more intensity towards these. Like, I want Kendall to go right up into Putz' face and be like, "What up, son?"
I don't know. I did a whole diss track.
Really?
You're joking. No. You missed it all. I did. I gave him a time. I said that
you did a diss track. What did you put the beat to?
No. Love Sosa, Chief Keef.
Oh, okay.
This isn't a joke.
So where's the Twitter clip?
Bro, it's a funeral. No. Everything's going up. It's over. If he
I actually do think I do think that Twitch has something against, like, what is it, dead bodies and murder. I don't think you're allowed to stream that, so maybe that's why we didn't.
No. It's a funeral of the career of something that's happening. Come on, man. This is rap terminology. Come on.
I'm just saying, metaphorical death is also not allowed on stream.
It's talking about the career.
All I'm gonna say is we should forget. I'm sorry, Nine, you're not going to LISS anymore. We're sending puts, and we're gonna put them in a boxing ring, and it's gonna be amazing.
It's a 1v1. It's a 1v1. That's all I asked for, man. I'll tell you. I said the diss track's coming next if he doesn't respond. So if he does respond, I'm actually gonna start rapping. So if he responds, the diss track is coming.
Okay. All right. So let's actually get into the show. We've had enough roasting everyone. Putz, yourself, Nine. We've done the whole gambit here now. So let's get right into it. So let's talk about just the big news. Everyone is talking about it, and we're gonna have to bring it up at some point. So let's just get it out of the way. So we knew. By the way, nice touch, Endgame. I see what you did there. Right after Ink Radio ended, they announced that KP was not going to be going to Japan. I don't know if that was a coincidence or not, but very happy coincidence. So KP is not going to Japan anymore. It was announced for whatever reason that they're not going. We'll get into that a bit later. And everyone thought, okay, they're not going. STDX is going. All's good. We still have FTWin who's coming in. And then we get the news that FTWin is no longer attending either due to some reasons of potential subs, if I'm not mistaken. So they're also not going anymore. So now it's the third and fourth place teams, STDX and Ghost Gaming, the two sponsors who are now going. And let's just say, frankly, that those tweets blew up like crazy. A lot of people are upset. And EGTV issued a statement. Would you guys like me to read that statement out to everyone?
That's a long-ass statement.
Yeah, that's a long one.
Go. Or do you mean I didn't read it. I didn't read it. Don't lie.
You can summarize it. Like, the whole thing, reading that whole thing would take a while.
That was like 3 pages of statement.
I know.
Whoa. Do you test me? Are you testing me right now?
No, this is... The viewers don't deserve to listen to this. Just link it in the chat, paraphrase it, and we should be good. Like,
wow,
that's a long time.
Listen,
I'm on Nine's side on this one.
Yo, he actually, like, if you're not watching stream, he actually put it up there.
Yeah, man. Here, I'll put it up so you guys, so all the chat can read it. Okay, you guys
can't even see it.
There we go. Here you go.
All right.
So. This is Eric from InkTV. For starters, here's the news. Kraken Paradise and FTWin will not be attending Platinum Cut. Set to Destroy X and Ghost Gaming will be representing North America and Europe. The news have been hard to hear, KP and FTWin players especially. Basically, he goes through saying that like they worked really hard, EGTV worked really hard, but because of specific details, it couldn't turn out from what it was. Apparently, the definitions of what a substitute was for Shinobism was not the same definitions as what Endgame TV announced as what they thought a sub was, and that led to a lot of problems where subs couldn't get in, and then the teams wouldn't go through, so STX and Ghost Gaming got in.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think of this overall? What are your reactions? Do you think it's a conspiracy theory like Sendo originally stated on Twitter? Now that he's going, I wonder if he thinks it's so much of a conspiracy anymore.
Can I just say that when I heard the news of that was actually one of the big reasons that I laughed as hard as I did, was not because I felt good for anybody, but I was like, man, that take is not as good right now. And I mean no disrespect to Sendo, it was just the timing of it could not have been any funnier in terms of like when that happened and when the whole like conspiracy bit came out. But no, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I got to see some of the discussion that went into like that and how hard they tried to stick with the original team. So I don't think it's a conspiracy. I do think there is absolutely merit in that if you're a sponsored team, you probably have all of the boxes checked in terms of like making sure that you can travel and that you kind of have that as an advantage. But I don't think it's a conspiracy. I mean, they got 3rd and 4th place, beat some really good teams to get there. So the whole situation sucks, but it is what it is. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, not really a conspiracy at all. That was a really fun week or so. People were just, coming out with a bunch of these things. And I actually told Sendo he probably should have taken that tweet down before even they got announced whatever Ghost Gaming was going. They didn't know they were going either. But I was like, you should probably take that down. And I guess his reasoning was, KP can't really, they don't really fight for themselves. So he wanted somebody to at least, put something out there for them. Just so they have some, somebody to talk for them. So I'm pretty sure he knows it wasn't a conspiracy theory after that, but still didn't want to take the tweet down. And then, I mean, I saw in chat someone asking about, I guess, the whole sub situation. And from my understanding, it's pretty much the sub you could take was only if they were actually registered on your roster for Inkstorm Cup. So that's why with KP, they did have the chance to send, I believe it was zero, but he couldn't go either. So then after that, it was nobody. And then FTWin, they didn't have any sub at all. It was just the 4 on the roster. So they didn't even get anything at all. So it was pretty much you had to have, at least according to, the Japanese sponsor, the sub needed to be on the roster already. And which, I mean, I guess that kind of does make sense because then who are you going to really take after that? It's going to be somebody on the 3rd or 4th place teams. And then at that point, probably just take the 3rd or 4th place team,
Yeah, I guess the assumption is if that you don't have a full roster, then the full roster of 3rd and 4th place is probably the stronger team, I think. I mean, that's the only logic I can go by. I guess what I want to come up to is we haven't had an event, a prize pool this big, I would say, in anything. This was arguably the largest, right? Like a trip to Japan is probably the biggest event we've had. So how do you think EGTV handled it overall? How do you guys feel about the aftermath of all this? Because you had a bunch of tweets from like all of EGTV staff being like, I'm so heartbroken. And then there's like other things where it's like, well, this is not happening. So I just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on how you feel it was handled. What do you think could do better in the future? That kind of stuff. Or do you think it was handled well? I mean, like, I made it sound negative, but
I'll say straight up, at least for me, I don't think it was handled well, but they also shouldn't be getting as much negative criticism as they are. I think a lot of people, like, at least on their Twitter posts, it's like, people aren't really understanding that at some point it did really get out of EGTV's hands. As hard as they did try, they couldn't do anything. And then people are also kind of, I guess, blaming the fact that they had that rule in there that said approve subs, but I guess that wasn't really the case. So that really shouldn't have been in the rule book at all.
To be fair, to me, a proof sub means someone who's on the roster, right? Like, in BNS, we do the same thing where we have subs, but your subs are on your registered roster. And if you try to get a player who's not on there, we don't allow you to play.
I mean, it's also like, even in their statement, it was like, we tried to leave the sub thing open to, like, I don't know, like, leave it open for interpretation or something like that. And it's like, no, this is one of the biggest tournaments we've ever had. There shouldn't be any interpretation of what this rule is. And I know some things can get lost in translation, maybe between sponsor to, I guess, the organization. But
I would counter you on that and say that there should be zero translation error.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like something obviously had to happen here where it was like maybe a translation. Things didn't really, because even in it's like, when you read the document, it's like we don't, the cultural differences or something with like a sub or like the meaning behind it is different, I guess, and that shouldn't have been the case. Just shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree with everything Walkie said. Definitely could have been handled better. I don't think anybody else say that, but I think the conspiracy to the point of just a lot of negativity. The whole conspiracy bit, I think, should say enough about the like negative press that was gotten. And I
just want to say that also aliens are real. They're living on Earth right now. Okay.
Are there any in the Splatoon community?
Yeah, because
Can you name names?
Yeah, STX and Ghost Gaming. They have to be aliens to get in. It's a conspiracy theory, right? No other way.
I love it. Yeah, I think that if nothing else, as unfortunate as this was, I think it sets a great precedent of how many boxes need to be checked and the degree that they need to be checked too. And like I said already, it just kind of sucked all around. I know for a fact that all the parties involved are really sad about it, and that, like Walkie said, at some point it did kind of get out of EGTV's hands, but could have been handled better. Maybe the statement come out a little bit sooner, but ultimately, I think as bad as this is, nothing like this is ever going to happen again. The bad side of it, I hope we get more trips to Japan, but at least now we know what not to do, at least in terms of how it was handled, and the fact that the mistakes were made to begin with.
Only thing I have to say is I feel like the biggest reason it got backlash is because of who's going and who was the second place team. In all honesty, because everybody was just like memeing like crazy, like how could you lose with me on your team? And then like it turns around, it's just like straight up like bap, like right back in your face. It's like, oh, I'm going now. So what do you think? And it's just like, it's kind of like, and then next it's like, oh dang, like the team that sponsored again is going. So I feel like that's really the big backlash about it. I feel like if it was any other team, everybody would just been like, okay, who cares? But once everybody went so hard about memeing about obviously Fuzzy and stuff like that, I don't think anybody would have cared if it was whoever. I don't even remember the 5th and 6th team, but nobody would have cared. It's just because of Fuzzy.
So what I do want to say is I think the rules overall were decently clear. I know what you guys are all saying, how they need to be like set in stone, and I do agree with that, but in a sense, like, I don't think this would have received as much backlash for endgame. I'm not talking about the whole situation. The whole situation would have occurred. I don't think this would have happened as badly for endgame if they actually promoted that Shinobism provided prizes for the event, because the only place that you could find it was in the fine print of the rules. It wasn't really advertised too much. It wasn't advertised on stream anywhere. It wasn't advertised in the announcements. Everything was endgame promoted. And then they're like, yeah, you get a trip to Japan. And it's like, yeah, but the trip is not provided by you, so you don't have much say in that prize. So if something does go wrong, Shinobism's the final call. But you marketed the whole event as if it's endgame. So what do you expect for people to be pissed at you if no one knows that Shinobism was the prize, right? Like, no one knew that. If I didn't read the rules, I would have never known that that Endgame themselves weren't funding the trip to Japan. And I think that's the big problem, is like, you can't say it was an error after the fact when no one knows that they were the ones providing the prize in the first place. Like, you can't use them as a scapegoat anymore. Not that you'd want to, but like, there's no fallback. There's no way to say there's a miscommunication, because everyone who's not directly related to you, like, we all kind of understand the situation here. And I'm not speaking on behalf of myself going like, duh. I'm saying like the casual viewer base is just going to see it as endgame's problem. And that's kind of how you have to portray it, is it's your problem now. It's your fault because there was nothing to show that it was someone else. I guess that's my biggest thing with it, was like, and I'm surprised that Shinobism didn't want promotion during the event either. You know what I mean? If you're providing trips to Japan, you'd think they'd be like, hey, by the way, show us off, or show us our teams that we're sponsoring, or stuff like that. You know, it just felt like there's just nothing. I don't know. Yeah. If I'm gonna put $10,000 towards a tournament, you damn well hope I have my name over it somewhere. You know what I mean? you gave me $10,000, I'd make a whole overlay based on your stream.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There was literally not even a graphic on the stream, and there were so many times where we were listening to Nine's voice and just a little Inkstorm Thunderbolt on screen when it easily could have just been Shinobism right there in big letters because we were looking at nothing on the screen half the time.
I don't know. To me, it just makes it safer for people to understand, I guess. Like if people knew Shinobism was there and then they said, well, actually when it came down to it, we had a discussion and we discussed what the rules were specifically for subs after the fact. Yes, we understand it's a problem, but we've came to the conclusion that Shinobism ultimately decides and they chose that they need official subs, right? Mm-hmm. This would have felt more like there was an actual conversation and that it was two people working together and trying to find a resolution towards it. Instead, it just came out as, we thought it was this, and then a sponsor that no one knows about all of a sudden says, no, you can't have this. And then it gets taken away. And then you expect people to be like, oh, yeah, this isn't bad. Like, of course the backlash is going to be there because no one knew about it. I guess that's my biggest problem.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What can we do at this point? It's over. Ghost Gaming. That's the Strikes are going. And that,
I'm okay with that. But one follow-up question to this that I do want to answer is, where do you think Endgame should go from here regarding those prizes for people? Like, if you were Endgame...
FTWin and KP?
If you were Endgame, what would you do? Because I want to explain the situation here, okay? Because I think people are expecting too much, and I do want to clarify, is that, like we mentioned before, Shinobism is providing the prizes. So in terms of monetary value, Endgame, I mean, I don't know the full details, but I'm sure they didn't fund 8 trips to Japan, right? Like, we've all confirmed Shinobism provided those prizes, right? So you can't expect something... You can't expect something in the same type of equivalency, right? Like, you can't expect them to send them off to fight somewhere else. Like, but do you think that they owe something to those teams for the error? What do you think they owe? Do you think the fans should come in and do something for them? Like, what are your thoughts? What do you just think should be done? Nothing? Something?
Well, I mean, as they were bringing up, I believe AC is doing a whole donation drive for the players to get them like souvenirs and stuff like that. But I mean, at this isn't technically is out of Endgame's hands, so what more should they really do for these teams? By the standard of, like, I guess Shinobism, whatever, it's a learning experience. We have to move on from it. It sucks, but I feel like there's nothing you can do for it. It's over. Like, what else do they kind of deserve? I don't know, truthfully.
I kind of disagree with Kendall. I like, because of the whole subbing rule, that is 100% like EGTV's doing. They put that rule there. It was kind of, you know, very, very poorly worded, I guess, for what happened. Because even if, I guess, Spoon said, oh, this is what we count as approved subs, that should have been stated outright, that they need to be on the roster to go to the event. Because especially in FTWin's case, they were all ready to go, and then I believe something happened with a parent who was about to go with their child, which honestly could have been as simple as they couldn't get off of work. It really could have been as simple as that. They had 2 weeks to, I guess, ask their boss, can I get off of work to go with my son? They told their son yes already, that they wanted to go with them, and then, you know, the boss said no. So at least for what I'm saying is, like, the way it was advertised, FTWin should be getting sent to Japan just off of the rules with a sub. And then I guess beyond that, they need something, because it doesn't make sense that they won something and doesn't get a KP. I think that's a little bit of a different story, because they had the whole one player getting disqualified mid-tournament, 2 of the players on the roster not being able to go. And then I think something's got to happen for at least FTWin, because it's partially Endgame's fault, in my opinion, that they're not going.
Whoa, Kendall, you are... Oh my god, you are cutting out.
That was beautiful. Please continue to talk.
Can't hear anything.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Hello? Hello? Am I good?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, like, what I'm saying is, yes, like, I understand what Walkie's saying, but at the end of the day, like, wouldn't it have to come from Endgame, who's not technically running...
Well, Shinobism didn't make the rule.
But I understand what you're saying, but they're the one funding the whole entire thing.
Oh, okay. So I'll bring this up. I was gonna wait till all you guys went through,
Okay.
but since we're kind of getting into it, I'll give you what my thought is. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
My actual job, I deal with a lot of stuff that involves our liability and liability of other companies. Okay. So we deal with this all the time, right? If you're the one who's running the entire event and you are marking yourselves as that premier event, you're kind of holding the liability, at least on the social aspect of it. I'm not getting into legalities here, right? But, like, in terms of the eye of the public, people think Endgame's liable regardless of it. And that's kind of what we care about in the end. I'm not saying, like, you should do illegal stuff, but what I mean is what we're talking about mostly is viewer perception, right? So the viewer perception is that they are the ones who are liable for the tournament. Therefore, they made the rule wrong. Therefore, they're held liable because they didn't announce or disclose anything at that point. So they should find something for these teams. And that's how I'm kind of viewing it. It's the same, like, and also put in your own shoes, Kendall, okay? Let's say you got a big prize. You didn't announce it anywhere, who the prize was coming from, right? You take a whole thing, and then the top team who you feel should actually go doesn't go. You as a human being, like, not take morals and ethics aside, just like how you're feeling. Would you do something for that team?
If I'm the one that put this on.
If you're the one who put the whole event on, you got everyone, you encouraged people to sign up, you got them all the way to the end, you're like, yeah, you're going to get to go to Japan, and then you find out they can't because of a technicality that you may have made a mistake on, or it wasn't clear enough. I can understand you may not feel fully responsible, but at the same time, do you feel like something should be done? Would you personally do something for those people?
I mean, that was my whole thing of bringing up what AC is doing already with getting them souvenirs.
But see, that's the difference. And that's where I'm coming out. And that's another thing I'm coming up to too, okay? I just want to point out something is that we made, so this is way minor, completely more minor, right? But when we ran a tournament that was buy-in back in the day, right? We had sometimes where people had some calls that we had to make that were kind of gray area. And some teams got eliminated because of it. And honestly, like, after the fact, we were like, these calls were kind of so-so. And I was willing to comp their buy-in entry of that $15. Now, I understand it's $15. It's not $10,000. And I'm not telling people to give $10,000 back. But I personally comped it, right? In the same way where if I had a problem that happened, and we as an organization look at it, and we say, oh man, what do we have to do? I wouldn't go out to the public and be like, hey, by the way, we made a mistake, so help fund our mistake. In my opinion, that looks worse because it's saying that you don't have the money and you're not taking responsibility for the error that you made. I don't know. Maybe our situation is different, but if we had something like that, I would have helped. I would have maybe done a small buyout for the players out of my own pocket for some things like that. Because it's just like, you got to do what's right. And I don't feel like taking other people's money to correct something I did is the right way to go about it. If none of this happened and they did a fundraiser, no problem. I'm totally cool with whatever you do. You know, like people wanting to donate for the sake of donating, but it feels like people are donating because they feel bad for that team more than just wanting to fund it. I mean, in the end, like FTWin and Kraken Paradise, of course they're going to say yes to it, but it's more the, how do you say it? It's the context of it. Context matters in these situations, I guess.
I really agree with Spoon. Like, I see the chat saying, you know, like, how is it EGTV's fault? And that you should read.
No, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that at this point.
To me, it's that it was false advertised. You falsely advertised something on your tournament. They didn't get what they came for. They really didn't. They were supposed to be, according to that rule, they were supposed to be allowed 1 sub in case of an emergency. This was a legit emergency, and they weren't awarded that sub.
I mean, sometimes I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but at this point,
it's not like, oh, Endgame to me are the bad guys or something like that because they can't do this. It's if I'm FTWin, like we are owed something. Like we're owed something big for winning what we just did.
Okay, so like I mentioned before, it's about perception. So I want to tag people in the chat because people keep saying it's not their fault, it's not their fault. And I am not saying it is their fault. And I'm not saying that they're the bad guys either. I will gladly go watch another Endgame event. I will gladly go to another LAN that they go to. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't stop me from doing those things. In the same way that I hope that if we made a mistake too, you wouldn't just boycott us instantly, right? Like, that's not what this is about. It's not about telling people they're wrong and they need to get punished to the ground for it. That doesn't benefit anyone, right? It's more about saying, like, you don't pass off your problem onto another situation, right? Yes, the rules were set by Shinobism, but to a viewer, no one knew that was the case. And then they announce a donation stream, or they announce that they're helping fund people, and also yourself, after you made an error and ruined someone's dreams to go to Japan. Not them personally, but Shinobism did, right? I just think that in this case, it would be something where, I don't know, maybe it's different. I'm not going to judge whoever, but I would have just given the 200. If we're saying we're giving $200 to them, I would have just handed $200 to them or been like, I will buy stuff for you, and I wouldn't have done a donation. Because in the scheme of things, how many people are on Endgame? What, like 5 people? 5 people divided by 200? It's like $50. You can work 2 hours at Dollarama and make that money and get it back. I'm not trying to, like, I'm just saying it's not the end of the world, and that money can come back. And, like, if you look at everything like that, of course, it skews the perspective where it's like, it's just $1,000. 10 people chip in $100. It's $1,000. You know, it's like, I don't want to go through that logic overall, but it's more like you made a mistake, or you perceive the viewers perceive that as your fault. You should probably, just out of good faith to make it look good on your end, to just like comp $200, like a prize pool's 200. Just fund it and get it over with, kind of thing. I don't know. That's just my view of it. Like, you do your thing, you clear the air saying that you have done something, and then open it up to donations and stuff like that. Be like, hey, if you also want to help support, go for it. Because now the perception, and this is what I mean, it's all about perception. If you had it as, we did this for the team. We are going to get them prizes in Japan. We'll take photos, whatever. We're going to give each player whatever amount of money. I don't know, anything of that nature. It shows that you're willing to work that extra mile to help them out. And then you say, also, if the community wants to help out for the problems that we're having, here you go. Instead, it feels like, it kind of makes it feel like, oh, this wasn't entirely our fault. So, yeah, community, come fund this. That's more the thing.
In all honesty, just from my point of view, like what I'm looking at, I feel like the letter, the damage control, fine, and then in all honesty, you move on from there. Yes, I'm gonna be honest about it. Like, yes, Endgame, obviously there was a mess up, and this is just my personal feelings towards it. Hopefully there's gonna be another event. Yes, it sucks, but things like these happen. This is a new experience, something that happened. I feel like it's one of those things that, like, yeah, you're gonna have to just move on, because there's nothing that can replace. Like, yeah, you'd be like, oh, here's 250. That's not gonna replace that for Japan to me.
Of course it's not.
But like, I feel like, yes, the gestures are nice, cool, but I feel like it's just like, at this point now, just move on. Like, it's just move on.
I don't know. I feel like that.
If it happened to you, you know how angry you would be.
Oh, I'd be pissed. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's, to me, it's like
It's
literally
more just
you're
saying, by the way,
getting
here you go. I am going to get you this. I understand you couldn't go, and I feel terrible about it. I'm not saying they don't. Like, I'm not saying Iric and AC and them are looking at there going, yes, we screwed over another team. Like, of course they're upset. Who wouldn't be upset about this? Like, they are clearly upset about it. But think about who's more upset. Is definitely FTWin in this situation, right? And I'm just saying it's a small gesture. It doesn't have to be anything massive, but just to be like, listen, I understand we thought this was going to happen and it clearly didn't work out the way we thought it was. We just want to extend our apologies. Here you go. We're going to offer you this. I don't know. And to be fair, I just want to point out something. If they did do that, like, privately, and they're just haven't announced it, I mean, that's even more props, because they're willing to take the brunt of this criticism and offer them something like that. I have no problem with that. It's more just I feel like there should be something there.
All right, so has this one run its course, do you think?
Do you have anything to add, Nine?
No, everything that could be said has been said in the last 10 minutes that I haven't spoke.
Alright. I mean, besides, I guess, blame and, I guess, a consolation prize or something like that, I guess we can talk about maybe, I don't know, the fact that maybe the 16-plus rule should have been raised or something.
Well, I didn't want to bring that up, but I think that I've said it before. I think that, like, yes, it's nice to extend it to the younger part of our community because they do make a big part of our top players. But when you're asking for, I guess, younger people, I don't know, they're not paying for Guardians like they did for the Nintendo. But when you're asking for something for people to pay for Guardians to go across the world, my parents would have looked at me like I'm stupid. Like, yo, you're not even leaving the house. I don't even know what you're thinking.
Yeah, but that would be Shinobism at that point. I would put that more on Shinobism.
I mean, no, I'm not saying that, but like, you kind of should. 18 plus, even to the point of it's like you gotta think about how much time you need off. I think that they should look for maybe trying to raise it. And I know a lot of people take a lot of backlash. They take a lot of backlash for it, but I think it would actually probably make it a little bit easier on them because you don't need a Guardian at that point.
I don't think that would be that much backlash. I always think presenting things up front instead of disclosing them before will always work out better in the end. Like, if you had those rules clearly stating, like, you don't have a passport when this tournament is over, you're not going to Japan, it's like no one can look at that and go, oh, I didn't know. It's like we have clearly stated that line. Like,
I think also you're forgetting you are a part of the Canadian group of North America where a lot of you guys have passports already. Americans, I didn't get my passport until I was 23.
Yeah, well,
and that was when I left the country.
But you know that we need a passport to cross your border by car.
You know that we don't go to Canada.
But when you guys go to Canada, you don't need a passport.
We do need a passport.
Not when you're crossing the border by car. You only need a piece of ID.
No, you need a
certificate.
passport. Ever since 2001, you needed a passport.
It's Canada going into the U.S.,
Seriously.
not the opposite. Check it out. I literally saw someone with a birth certificate and an ID, and he got into Canada. Maybe our border patrol is just nicer. Maybe they're just like, oh, sorry about that, eh? Sorry you don't have your passport. I'll just let you on by.
But, like, in all honesty, like, a lot of Americans don't have, like, we just don't have them. And I mean, I feel like when you put that on 16-year-olds, I know that, like, everybody's like, oh, but why would you say that? Like, it's a lot. And especially with the time constraints of, like, when they did it, there was a lot that came. I forgot somebody did the actual timing of how much time they let them know about Inkstorm. And then if you actually win Inkstorm, if you don't get your passport before then, like, it's a lot. So, I mean, if you go 18 plus, you mitigate a lot of those problems of, first, you take out Guardians automatically. The most you have to worry about is that one kid or 18-year-old that can't go across the country or across the world. But I feel like 16 is too young, and I feel like we forget sometimes that 16 is too young.
Yeah. Like I said, I think if it was just clearly defined, like very, very bluntly, like black and white, like, you do not have a passport, you will not go to Japan. You do not have someone who will fund your trip while you're there, you will not go to Japan. Like, your whole team will not go to Japan. Like, if you made it that clear, yes, your turnout may not be as big, but then you don't have a situation that can arise like this. What do you think is a bigger social problem? Having your top 2 teams not go to Japan because of ruling issues, or having less entrants, but then still having the top 2 go through smooth as butter?
I mean, in hindsight, if it was, say, 18 plus, the same 2 teams would have won.
That's kind of that's
the
kind
same exact 2 teams would have went.
Well, I mean, you could do that too. I'm just
what I
saying,
was
as
getting
long in these situations, they have to be clearly defined what will happen if you do not get those rules. Like, it's not like you need to have a passport, you need to have a valid ID, you need to do this, or else, you know, this won't happen. It needs to be like, if you do not have this, this will definitely not happen. Like, I don't know.
Again, you're asking this from 16-year-olds.
And then it's also like, all right, what was it, like 3 weeks? I think
we're forgetting about this.
3 weeks or so where you knew about the tournament beforehand, and honestly, a passport costs money. So like, you're gonna be like, hey mom, can you take me to the library or something to go get my passport done?
And me personally, everyone should have a passport. They renew every 10 years. No, because they renew every 10 years. You're gonna go somewhere in 10 years.
You're Canadian. We're American.
People don't.
Bro, we don't go anywhere. I live in New York. Some New Yorkers don't leave their boroughs. All right?
I cross the border like monthly. I just go to Vermont, get some food, come back.
There's nothing.
I've literally crossed the border to get supper and then come back.
Yo, to an American, what else is out there? So most of us don't have passports. Like, it's not a common thing. It's not.
Okay, I do want to add one more thing. People are saying passports are expensive. Yes, they're like $300 one shot. Divide that by 10 years. It's not that expensive. Amazon Prime is more expensive.
Yeah, but this is a 16-year-old. You're going to go up and tell your parent, your mother, that, oh, yeah, can you spend the $300 on this right now?
To be fair, if I was a parent, I was like,
no, shut the hell up and wait till we go on vacation.
Exactly.
No, if I was the kid, I'd be like, Mom, I want to further my education and feel very sophisticated as a human being living in society. May I please have a passport? I'm kidding. It's obviously not going to happen. Anyways, okay, let's end this discussion. We're kind of we're falling apart here.
Yeah, no.
And Nine's clearly like, let's just get to Extravaganza.
I tried, man. I am here to talk about this wonderful event that had so many good outcomes.
Okay, so on a further note, InkTV, we had Extravaganza. It was kind of the brainchild of Nine and Blake, I would say. Is that sound accurate?
Yeah.
It was you and Blake who mainly were like, we need to have a tournament that gets free agents together and plays. So, Nine, if you don't mind breaking it down for us, just a little bit of how it worked. I know, but I feel like it's your place to talk about this.
Sure. So, Extravaganza kind of came out, I think it was about a couple months ago, or maybe a month and a half. I came up in just one of the InkTV group chats in the Discord and kind of talked about this idea of, I see a million people posting free agent posts, nobody getting noticed, even though there are Twitter bots that are like solely there to retweet that. And I thought, all right, someone needs to make an event that brings all these people together, puts them on teams with other people who are near their skill level, sorts them somehow, and just tries to get people either talking to other people in the scene, exposed to other people in the scene, get some play out there, something along those lines, because there are so many people playing this game. The Discord that was Extravaganza had over 100 people in it in less than like 5 hours. And those were all people who were willing to play in that event. So how it worked is Blake, who is brilliant beyond anything, put together a bot in a survey that you would put in, and it had sliders that were based on things like, are you aggressive or are you passive? Are you midline, backline, frontline, things like that? What weapons you play? And the idea was that it could then automatically sort these teams out, and it would base it based on your X rank, or if you were X rank, what your X rank power was, your league battle, things like that. And the goal was that people would be placed on teams with people similar to their skill level. Because if you had someone who's on the bottom with someone on the top, neither side is going to really enjoy that as much. But if you got people with people near their skill level, they'd be more willing to team up and things like that. So that was the whole idea behind it. Blake made that dream into a reality, as he so often does. And it went really well. I think that the contingency plans that were put in place to kind of put players, because we knew people were going to drop, and I know that Jordan, Hermes, Walkie, I think you were there as well, Spoon, Blake, everyone who was involved with that production, swapping these people around. I think Adidia was there. I don't want to leave anybody out of this. Really did a great job of moving players around, and I know that people have now started scrimming with teams or with people that they've met there. They've started adding them to other teams. I know at least 2 teams have formed based on the teams that they were in that event. And that's what it's all about. I've always believed that not necessarily that newcomers aren't catered to or that they need to be catered to more. I think that the people who are currently in the race right now need ways to network and access other people. And that's what I think the event did. I think it went really, really well. I think that, well, I read through help desk and feedback, so I know that people were pretty generally pleased with how it went. And I can't wait for the next. I think that next time I think there's going to be a stream up is what the plan was there, now that we've kind of used this as our test run. And that's going to be even better. It's going to put more free agents out there. It's going to be great for them getting their film seen from other teams. And I know this is very long-winded, but I don't have enough good things to say about it. It went exactly as I'd hoped it would. And I think it was a really positive experience for everyone who came in.
Yep. Yeah, and like you mentioned, Nine, was that 2 people actually created teams out of this, which was pretty awesome. Super props to that. Yep. Overall, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I really liked the event. The one thing I will say is that a lot of people dropped, but I'm surprised that we all managed to get enough people back on the teams. And like you said, a lot of people really enjoyed playing with the team members they had, and I think it's something that's really cool. That is now being added in. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add? Did you guys? Well, I was gonna say, did you guys watch it? But
I watched the finals on Spectre's stream. That was the only thing I was able to watch. Whatever. But aside from, I guess, the gameplay, I thought, like, honestly, when Nine came up with this idea, and I know since we also announced it kind of late-ish on InkTV, that I didn't expect as many people to sign up. Like, past like last Tuesday, we said on Last Ink Radio, apparently we hit the cap that day, and that was pretty impressive. I thought that there were that many. I don't know if it's really impressive or sad that there were that many free agents.
Both.
Yeah. But I think what this tournament kind of showed, at least, was that people just needed, like, to be kind of pushed in the right direction and get on the teams, like someone setting up the teams for them, rather than, because it's really hard to, you know, go through maybe a bunch of different tryouts or whatever and all this. But, you know, at least there were other people kind of in your shoes on your team. So I think that was kind of one of the best parts about this tournament. And at least for me, I think it's a good thing for the community to at least have events like this as well.
Kendall, you're a free agent, right? Maybe next time you could that was a cold look that you just wore. Not even humoring me, Kendall. Nope. Come on.
I said it. I'll play in the BNS for fun. I'll play in LANs, Long Island Summer Splat, even though I'll be at a wedding. Yeah. But besides
be at a wedding? Be at your wedding, Kendall. That you can't talk about your wedding and go a wedding. Like yeah, I'm just not going to my wedding, Long Island Summer Splat. Sorry. Like, Kendall, if your wife was around, she'd beat you right now.
Wow.
Show her a clip of this. You're going to get murdered if you show her this.
Yeah.
She knows.
You know what's also the funny part is, like, he was like, he told me once if the wedding was in New York, he'd find a way to help out. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would. I really would.
Wedding, doing things.
But no. At this point, no. I'm so good. I'm so good. Like, I competitive I'm at a good point right now with streaming and playing casually in tournaments. That's it. Nine, what about you? Aren't you a free agent? Why don't you do your own tournament?
No, I am very bountifully employed by all those who would wish to employ me as a caster. So I am not a free agent. I am actually on several teams working as a caster for them. So.
Oh, nice. Nine's a team player, just not in the sense of what you thought.
Nine. Excuse me. I'm gonna call you.
Also, I'm technically a TO for this, so
That's true. That would be biased.
it would be.
I feel like Jordan. I feel like Jordan definitely did a TikTok Tuesday and played with Deep Blues and won his own tournament.
That's TikTok Tuesdays.
To be
The
fair,
whole
we
point
have
of that.
we have talked about it on BNS where if someone's missing a third player, you get the Spoon incentive where Spoon joins your team to play for you. By the way, I forgot to add this, but to all those, Ghost Gaming and STX, when you're in Japan, there's a couple of things you need to have when you're there, okay? The first one is this. It's not in this, okay? It's not this specifically. This is like the basic one, right? This is a melon soda, but you gotta get the Fanta one. Fanta melon soda is the greatest drink ever. Like, you need to get that, okay? Also, go to McDonald's and get an apple pie. They deep fry it. It's amazing. All food is glorious in Japan. All of it's amazing. That's it. That's all I want to say. Melon soda all day. Also, 7-Elevens. Actually, get Lawson's chicken. That's all you need to know.
Great. I'll keep that in mind for my trip to Japan that I'm sure will happen in my life.
Yeah,
but
man.
To the,
I
to
could
the
be a whole
original-
tour guide to you, by the way. Go
I'm
for it,
trying to
man.
bring it back, Spoon. I'm trying to bring it back. I think, and this is something that I'm kind of interested in hearing you all. I think that the biggest, obstacle preventing a lot of people from getting into Splatoon is networking, and I think that that's probably the biggest reason why Extravaganza got as many people as it did. Because I know personally from my journey up in Splatoon, none of this would have happened if I hadn't met by happenstance Pixelated Cody at the first LAN that I went to. If I hadn't met him and talked to him for a little bit, Stratosphere wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have met anybody. And that was just dumb luck that made that happen. So I think that maybe something that we can focus on slightly more as a community is kind of networking people, not necessarily to top players or to newcomers, but just to other people and kind of open that up in like a forum, not a forum sense, but just giving them more tournaments like this. And I hope that Extravaganza kind of starts an initiative to at least get people thinking more along those lines. Less in terms of like skill levels and more of just networking and putting people in contact with one another.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think networking is a really big aspect, and it just forces you to play with new people. And that was the whole point of the event. So, yeah, Kendall, join up. Play Extravaganza.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Like those school activities or something where they make you like go talk to like a certain amount of people or something like that. That's exactly what Extravaganza is, I guess.
I'll do it. I enjoy with playing with new players like all the time. Like even, or I think the last LIS I played with the team that besides Melissa, I knew I was playing with her, but I played on a team, but we didn't get to play with each other because she was commentating. I enjoy playing with honestly anybody when I can talk to them and like have an opportunity to do it. I'd join up. So I have no problem with that. Next one, I'll do it.
Okay. All right, let's get into some questions on Twitter, okay? You guys asked quite a bit of questions. Let's get into it. So the first one is from David Andrus. He has his show that we put on, the Splat Report. You should check it out. It's really good. Also, I just want to bring up this question, okay? So Dave Andrews says, now that the Tenta Cerellabrella has seen use in Splat Japan League, is Spoon ready to admit that he was wrong? And the answer is no. Someone definitely paid those players in the Splat Japan League to be like, we have this guy in the North American scene. He's kind of a big deal. His name is Cryptikspoon, host of Ink Radio podcast, and he says the Tenta Cerellabrella is trash. And then the Splat Japan League player, sorry, my English is so off today, he comes in and he's like, listen, it is bad, but you're going to give me money to play it and do well with it, so I'll play it. And that's what happened. It's not a good weapon. I don't care what anyone says, man. Like, everyone keeps posting me these clips and being like, "Yo, here's my montage and stuff." Dude, by the way, nice video. We retweeted.
Can you please play that video at the end?
I'll play it afterwards. It's a great video, okay? And it's a good montage. Like, I'm like, damn, Tentebrella is badass. But the new Tentebrella is still crap. No one has shown me the use of a wall with this weapon, okay? And I'm sure if I watch Splat Japan League, it will still be useless. So, no, it hasn't. It could be the most meta weapon. I'm still going to think it's trash. I don't care. Fundamentally, it's a stupid weapon.
See, I respect that, though. I actually respect that you're just you're willing to die on that hill. I can give that respect.
I mean, I don't put my flag on the hill, so to speak, on everything, but I'm willing to do that with this one. Even if it becomes the most popular weapon, I'm just gonna assume everyone's dumb.
You do know Clan Blitz is your tournament this weekend, right? I mean, this Thursday, right?
Yes.
Somebody's gonna prove you wrong.
No, you have to understand, you can't prove me wrong because it's always going to be wrong.
I forgot.
Okay, anyways, we'll get into the next question since this was specifically for me. Unless anyone wants to add something to it.
No. It's all good.
Okay, this one is from DS Cobb, Jacob Splat. He says, do you guys think chargers are on the rise? I've been seeing them in more quads and scrims.
Yeah, 100%. They're a really good weapon. There's really no reason not to, I guess if you're a backline player, learn them. And then I mean, it just makes a lot of sense right now. Stingray is obviously really good. If you're a good sniper, inkjets should be pretty easy for you to hit most of the time. And, you know, that's really what it comes down to is a lot of the teams, you know, if you can get that one shot with the sniper, then you win, especially in the current meta with inkjets and all the freaking dualies rolling around. All you need is one shot, and everything they worked for is done. So, you know, a very good weapon. Backlining players, I suggest, should learn it.
Yeah, I think the fact that you saw Ice mostly playing Charger on a team that went perfect through some of the best competition that's available should tell you all you need to know. It's not just a niche pick anymore. It's something that a lot of teams run. I know Brian on Ghost Gaming, fantastic all-around backline player, but that Charger is particularly lethal. And, of course, there have been lots of top Japanese teams that have run Chargers for some time now. So buy the stock. Buy the stock now before it rises any higher than it already is. I think, yeah. No, there's no question. The results speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that Ink Armor is less and less out of meta, I find. Like, you don't see, like, 3 or 2 people stacking it anymore. It's Inkjet. So I think Chargers definitely play well in that special area as well recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kendall, you want to add something? I know you play E-Leader a lot in solo queue.
It's just because of Inkjet. Everybody does the same thing with it over and over again. So they're really easy to snipe down. And everybody loves to run 2 of them on their team. So I can see why good Chargers probably excel at this meta that's happening right now. That's really it. If they change Inkjet, you may see a fall in it if any other special becomes like prevalent. But yeah, that's really it.
Yep. Okay. Next question. Okay. Jordan, we already answered that question. I'm sorry. Love you, buddy. This is from Hawk. He's a mod in the Squidboard server. He said, should bigger tournament groups start doing pre-event press releases and articles with information relating to key teams/players and competitive meta information as a way to hook viewers into wanting to watch the events more and providing visual comp info for spectators as well?
I mean, yeah, that's always ideal. There's a reason that you see that so much in professional sports as well. I mean, how many news outlets put together game previews before big games or things like that? I mean, there are like hundreds of them that do it, and they're getting paid to do it because people keep buying them, people keep reading them. So I think so, sure. Whether it's an outside organization that wants to do it, or something, you know, another group. I know BTM puts stuff together sometimes with like past tournament data between the teams that go through. And sometimes little previews for that as well. And I know that that's something that I do a lot when I go into, you know, before casting a tournament. So, yeah, I mean, I think that the more readily available that information is to viewers, the better.
Yeah, there's really no reason, I mean, not to, besides the fact that it's a lot of work. I mean,
I'm about to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
if whoever suggested the question wants to do it, and it's done really well, I promise you I will talk to Blake and I will get it on the website, and that's it. We did kind of similar stuff for, I think it was, what was it, like G5?
I was about to say G5, yeah.
G5 and on
Where
all
we
those
had an
events before the
interview.
LANs. Yeah, we'd have interviews, and every day we'd have like different teams and stuff like that. It's just it's a lot of like Kendall, like Walkman said, it's a shit ton of work, man.
Yeah, and I believe
Yeah.
even like it also, us doing that interview with all the teams, I believe Endgame used it for one of their trailers. For it, they used like one of the voice clips that we had, a couple of them. So you know, it helps if you're willing to do them. Like, there's no reason not to. It definitely brings a lot of attention to whatever event it is.
I just think it adds more prestigiousness to it. Like we've talked about before. Yeah, whatever. Prestigiousness. Making up words. So I do want to add that I think everyone wants this. Like, I don't think anyone looks at their tournament and goes, you know what? We really don't want to have articles focusing on the tournament. Nor do we want key information shown up for the viewers. Like, no one sits there and goes, we don't want this, right? Like, this is definitely something that everyone would love, but it's very hard to execute. It takes a lot of time. You need staff. It's a lot of dedication. And to find people who are willing to do stuff like this is very difficult. Like we said, just for us to write articles every week is a lot of work. Like, Jordan's now got this on lockdown. Walkman does write articles. He's fallen off a little bit, but that's understandable. We forgive you, Walkman.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. And then we have, like, Hermes does articles every once in a while. But it's hard to consistently keep that going when things come up, right? It's a lot of time to make the article, make it work. And then even before the event, if you want more production during the event, that takes time. That takes months of work. Like, that, you can't just, like, wake up in a week, do every single thing in a week, like highlights for each team and, like, map stuff and all this thing to prep. You just can't. You need to have a solid game plan. So people need to understand that this would take months of prep. That's about it. You guys have any other things to add to this?
Nah.
You literally said everything. Not gonna lie.
Perfect. So we're going to get into the next one. This is from... Oh, yep. It's the last question. And it is from Future. Casting comes up a lot in discussions. How to get into it, how to improve, but I'm not sure if the best pairings ever come up on Ink Radio. So without mentioning the four of you, who is your favorite commentary pairing and why? That's going to be a hard one for 9.
No, it's not. I'm a fan of commentators. I think one of my favorite pairings is, of course, that this is going to sound like recency bias, but I really like the work that Hitzel and FLC did. I think that they did a really good job of working through pools. Because the way I see it, if it's like early pools, there's two ways you can go about it. You can either go super silly and not focused, and just kind of like how you'll see in fighting game tournaments. Or you can break down a lot of very like intense strategies that don't necessarily relate to what you're seeing on the map at that moment, but that could theoretically relate based on certain factors. So you could spend a minute maybe talking about a certain fact, like a certain aspect that this weapon has. So even though it's not what we're seeing on the map, people still get something out of the experience that they might not normally because it's pools. So those two are really fun. Hitzel and DJ, I have a lot of fun as well. I like when Melissa works with pretty much anybody. I think she's really good at setting people up and kind of bringing out the best of them. Who did Blake commentate with at Smash and Splash 4? I'm forgetting because I watched it. It was Melissa? That might be why I'm thinking of that then.
He commentated more than once, I believe.
Yeah,
but it was
I don't know
Melissa.
the other. I watched him when he
And Spectre.
Spectre.
Yeah, no, I think that Spectre and Bob, the times that they've worked together, I thought they did a pretty good job together, actually. They do a good job of feeding off each other back and forth. And I really liked what Zach and Spectre were able to do as well. I think that Spectre is really good at kind of the next level in-depth knowledge, but with someone like Zach there to kind of guide the show and kind of pitch stuff to her, I think she did a really good job. She gets more and more comfortable every time I see her cast too, which is really good because I think she's a fantastic commentator. Outside of that, man, I mean, I could go on and on about this because, like I said, I'm a fan of commentators, and I always like to steal stuff from as many of them as I can. He hasn't commentated in a while, but I was a huge fan of Mullen when he commentated more back in the day. I think, who was it that he usually commentated with on Inkforce?
Vesper?
It was Vesper? Okay. I only got to tune in for a few of those, but I think, again, Vesper and Mullen really do a great job of Vesper kind of guiding the show, and then Mullen being like the analyst pairing. I think that works when you have like good coordination and synergy, which those two did have because they'd worked together a lot. So a lot of great pairings based on the chemistry they have. So
yeah. Who do you want to shout out? Kendall or Walkman?
Say Kendall for a second.
No, I was going to say easily for me, just off the classic Nine and Eirik are actually my favorites. I like sorry to say, I like the hype. But there is one of my favorites, and it was brought into the chat, and ever since the first one when we got to have it happen, Walking Fuzzy, straight hands down. Hands down, absolutely one of the most funniest things that I have on stream. I don't know if anybody has ever got to see it happen, but Walking and Fuzzy were absolutely just how they played off each other, just how, like, you can tell, obviously, like, just being friends, but I'm sorry, yeah, I absolutely loved it. It's... Even though some people don't like the fact of like what Fuzzy does, it's usually what Fuzzy does. Like, why would you use this weapon or whatever? But I absolutely loved it. So yeah, that's for me.
Oh, there we go.
My bad, I'm back. Sorry. Internet flash.
How about you, Walkman?
So I'm not allowed to mention myself. Because I would just go through the people that I like casting with personally. I mean, at least I'll say for myself, and then I'll also say some others. The people that obviously I really like casting with, obviously Fuzzy. I think it's just different when it's like really your friend, and then also you could also, you know, like they get the game as much as you do, because that's a big thing for me, and I'm sure Nine and Kendall have heard me say this sometimes or something like that, is like when I'm casting with someone who doesn't know as much game knowledge as me, you know, sometimes I'm just not into it as much as I can be. And that kind of just leaves me in an awkward position sometimes. So with Fuzzy, that was really fun. And then I also like casting with Nine, obviously, and Eirik. I think those are my two favorite, like, people that are casters to cast with. And then we're gonna see more of him at Long Island Summer Splat. Hangman, I think.
Oh, you killed my choice. Get out of here. I was supposed to say that one.
All right. Well, yeah, I really love Hangman a lot. So, and then I guess for other people, pairing of mine, obviously, I don't know. I can't watch too much casting. So, like, when you know so much about the game yourself, you criticize a little bit too much when other people cast. And I guess the people I do that the least for are Nine and Eirik together. Other than that, I just will criticize them to hell in my head.
I am so much different than you guys for casting. I do like the analysis, but I'm quite the opposite. I feel like I have, surprisingly to you guys, I feel like I have a grasp of the game.
Now, hold on a minute.
I know, right? It's crazy to think that. But I think I understand the game, at least at a fundamental level, that I don't need to hear other people's thoughts on what they think will happen. So I usually prefer a lot of the banter. The second thing I also really prefer is a nice microphone and voice. Like, those are like my big things. Like, Hangman can talk about taking a dump in his toilet while on Splatoon, and I'll still listen to it. He's got a great voice, man. Like, not that I actually would, but I just think that he has a good voice. Walkman, you're an amazing analytical commentator, but man, your mic sometimes kills. You know what I mean?
I try, man. I try.
Wow, that's
What? To be fair,
I mean,
Walkman
To be fair, he bought me this mic.
Yeah. What can I say?
like I am not going down in this alone, Spoon. He is taking you down with him.
Go sub with that Spoon Shill emote. Get those dollars out.
I know. I agree with you though, and that's why sometimes I really don't even want to cast online, and I'll just cast when I'm out of LAN whenever they happen.
But yeah, I really do like banter. I like the jokes in between. That kind of stuff really brings it for me. I guess that's kind of why I like watching BNS in the background, because I like hearing people just chill kind of thing.
I can't stand fucking BNS.
I know. But then again, I do like the professional casting too. Like I said, my favorite caster combos are like Walkman and Nine, I think, are some of my favorites. The thing about Nine is that Nine, I'm just going to stroke your ego so hard right now, is...
Stroke it.
I think Nine is the most versatile caster, and you can put him with anyone, and it makes the other person shine. And I think that's your advantage. Is that you...
Yeah, that's what I said. With me, I can't do that. I'll get annoyed.
Yeah, but you have to be the analytical person, Walkman. That's the thing. Nine can kind of fill whatever role that person lacks. So you kind of fill in for what the other person doesn't have, and that's why everyone looks good when they're with you, Nine. And so when I judge how good a caster is, I make sure that they don't cast with you to make my evaluation.
I think it's fair.
You make people look too good.
It's just a conversation, man. That's all it is. It's a conversation, and it goes both ways. So I just try to be good at conversing with whoever I'm with.
Yeah. So I like Nine with anyone. It's hard. I haven't watched too much casters recently. But I think
there are no tournaments that are cast.
Yeah, I think there should be a larger focus on analytical and color commentators a little bit more, like the casual versus the hardcore. I don't like to say it's like play-by-play, because play-by-play shouldn't really exist in Splatoon.
It shouldn't exist, but it does.
I would say more you want someone who can explain it to a casual viewer and someone who can explain the game to a hardcore viewer. Like the mix of the two. So someone who can be like, this is what Rainmaker is. And they can clearly break it down for viewers and be fun and exciting, while you have someone who's there for like the pros who are like, this is the gameplay that's breaking down. This is why this blaster went here. That kind of thing. So yeah. I know I didn't really name any names, but I like Walkman and Nine. They're two of my favorite casters to watch together. When Walkman has a good microphone.
Well, hopefully we will cast together at Long Island Summer.
Yeah, that's something that happened today.
I'm pretty sad. Oh yeah, Nine's going to Long Island. Congratulations. You get to cast with the Hangman.
I do. I don't know what the schedule is, but I would love to work with Hangman.
Oh, Hangman won't be there. He's going to be at Shine.
Oh, that's right. Austin said that he was going to be at Shine too.
He's a Smash 4 commentator first.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate, but I'm looking forward. There are a lot of people that I'm excited to meet that I haven't met before. So yeah, Long Island Summer Splat. Thank you to everybody for getting me there.
Okay, so I don't want to toot my own horn, because I've already stated this before that I'm not into casting so much anymore. I think we've all talked about that before already. I love hosting you guys on the show. I love being a host and talking, but casting on its own, to me, is very draining. And I like doing it when I'm at like live events, but online is not so much my thing. But I will say, when me and Blake are together and we're actually being serious, me and Blake got that chemistry, okay? We were in Japan. We were casting an Australian tournament, and me and Blake stopped ourselves, and we were like, damn, we did a pretty good job considering we didn't cast in forever. Like, we just got that synergy, you know? Sparks fly. Dynamic duo over there. BNS.
Fly. Yeah, I like Blake a lot when he casts. I don't know. Like, even when we did BNS a couple times, I think it was just me and him. I loved it because he let me talk as much as I want, and then he would also say something that was right. And like, I don't know, he could break down the game really well, I think. And Blake's pretty underrated, I guess, at casting because he doesn't do it enough.
I was about to say.
Well, actually, Blake is the one who casts the most out of anyone, and I think that's why he's underlooked. He casts every single BNS. Oh, it totally counts.
What doesn't, man?
He has endurance like no other. I will say that. I don't have that endurance. I'm on and off like all the time. I come and go. I'm known for that. That's my shtick in PNS, is being on and off. But Blake is that, like, he's that ship, you know? It's always straight. It always works. anyone want to add anything to this, or are we good to wrap up the show?
I don't have anything else.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much good as well. But I think just on casting, the worst thing I hate when people do is like just talk and like nothing's coming out. Like, I've seen people talk about like at the beginning of the game, they'll like bring up every weapon and name every single weapon, and they didn't tell me shit about those weapons. And they didn't tell me anything that like those comps are doing. And it happened recently at Inkstorm Cup, and I just shut off the stream and I went to go watch Sendo instead. So I don't know. I'm not really happy when that happens. Like, literally, if you're gonna talk about the team comps, actually talk about them, not just what I can see on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the things that I excel out in casting are everything around the game, like shilling, promoting events. Talking about comps before a game is something I feel pretty good in, actually. But yeah, I do everything around the game. You need someone to be on that desk after the setup to shill everything. I'm your man. I got you. Anyways, closing thoughts. Shout out your stuff, Kendall.
Long Island Summer Splat, where I will not be going to the wedding.
You keep cutting out.
I will
Let it
not
go. Just let him
Come
go. Just let him
to
go.
a Splat.
Can you hear me
Wedding.
now? Are we good? Are we
Yeah.
good? Are we good? All right, cool. Go to Long Island Summer Splat. 9 is now going, so you definitely should come through. It's going to be amazing. Also, make sure to purchase that merch if you want some nice tank tops. You're missing out. Besides that, the 1v1 will be happening whenever Putz actually reaches out. I highly doubt it's going to happen, but whatever. But that's it. Negus _ follow me on Twitch, and that's it.
Walkman?
I'm thinking, I usually like these past couple weeks been trying to shout out other things besides myself, and I don't know, there's nothing really going on right now. I guess, yeah, Long Island Summer Splat, obviously, and definitely do get the tank top because I'm going to get one as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that looks pretty sick. I guess, yeah, shout out Blake in the chat. You know, just love that guy to death. And his... like the work that he does, honestly, especially for like Extravaganza, honestly, that was really amazing. Just all the coding he had to do for that. So definitely a gem in our community that we should appreciate right there. And then since they're saying in chat, yeah, one of the teams that did form from Extravaganza's name is Oni Squids. So if you see them in a tournament or something like that, you know, just know they're a relatively new team, you know. Definitely try to welcome them with open arms and things like that. So that's pretty great. And I guess for Extravaganza, there should also be like a tournament shortly after, maybe not by InkTV, but a place where, you know, these teams can go and practice against maybe teams that are actually formed. So after you form your team from Extravaganza, you can go and play in a beginner tournament. So, which I hope there's maybe another Fresh Start Cup happening soon or something like that where they can do that. So that's all I got to say.
Cool. How about you, Nine?
Just shout out all of GSM for putting on that fundraiser and for just the incredible work that they've done so far. I think it's easy to forget that, you know, this has all been fairly recent, at least in the grand scheme of things. I know InkTV and EGTV have been around a while. It's easy to forget that GSM hasn't been around nearly as long because they're already doing some really great stuff. So shout outs to them, not just for helping me get there, but also for the work that they're putting in. I know who butters my bread, man. I gotta give thanks there too. But also, I guess, to the entire Grain Gang for making today's stream and all these other streams completely wild. We're coming up on 1 month, first month of streaming. And yeah, shout outs to Blake as well. Blake deserves more love because if it wasn't for his incessant desire to burn the candle at both ends and his hatred of sleep, Extravaganza would not have happened at all. So again, shout outs to Blake. There is not enough thanks for what you do. So I'll throw a little more in the pile.
All right, my turn. So I just want to point everyone to our new emote that we've kind of sniped into there. It's the spoon shill emote. It was created because people wanted a way to advertise when I'm shilling. And so it is there. And we put it at the premium shill price of $9.99. Because there's nothing better than a shill emote at a higher cost, if you know what I mean. So if you want that dope emote, you know, just subscribe for $9.99. Get that extra shill. Just want to point that out. Also, shoutouts, BNS is this Thursday. We've constantly been having a prize pool every week thanks to the community funding it. It's been great so far. And we're looking to improve the stream again more and more. As we said, we always have a ton of stuff lined up. But we are going to have Beyond the Ink as of next week. That is going to start. And if I'm not mistaken, the first guest is Dr. Prodigy. So take a look at that. It's going to be a one-on-one interview series. And cross-examination will be starting also within the next week or two as well. I'm just going to get footage from BNS, and we're going to start that as well. So those 2 episodes are now coming out. And along with, look forward to some extra tournaments that we'll be hosting in the future. I'll say shout-outs to Blake. Shout-outs to me. This is why I don't get shouted out. This is why I don't get props, because I just shout myself out. And everyone's like, oh, my God, this guy. And then no one shouts me out. I do it to myself. I know.
The quickness, though. There was no hesitation. Shout-outs to Blake. Okay, now that I've got that out of the way. Shout-outs to me. Let's go, me. I love me some me.
Listen, you can't love other people until you love yourself. You know what I'm saying?
You are twisting that, sir.
Yes,
In all honesty, though, just so everyone knows, I'm actually not that cocky. Like, this is an act somewhat. Shut up, Nine. I see that smirk on your face.
I'm sorry. Canadian Grains voice chat. I'm a god. I'm a god. I'm a god. I'm a god. Hexen next to you saying, stop shooting at the ground.
I'm like, God, shoot at the ground.
What are you talking about?
I was on a team with him for maybe a year-ish, maybe a little bit less or something like that, and it's not an act. It's not an act.
What are you talking about, man?
It's not.
I care for you as much as I care for me, Walkman. That's a high compliment.
A lot. Yeah, you care for yourself a lot, so you must care for me a lot.
Exactly. I only love myself because I love everyone else around me just as much. You know what I'm saying? I'll lift you up with me. That's what I do. Except when you cut your hair. Anyways, we'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Play the trail, the
Raidu,
whatever.
please.
Oh yeah, okay. Hold on. We'll do a viewer showing of this together. Okay. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna pull this up here on Twitter. Let me revert my. Let's do this. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. I'm totally spazzing here, guys. Where is Shenny? Let's get this guy. Oh, come on. Why can't I find it?
You definitely tweeted it out, my friend.
Oh, yeah, here you go. So do you want to add anything else, Kendall?
I was just going to say,
Oh, my God. Okay, we'll just go to the YouTube page.
I was just gonna say, we're really missing the opportunity, you know, like the exhibit meme. Like, I heard, yo, dog, I hear you like walls, which is like a wall with your wall. All right, cool.
Why? What's that from?
That's right.
I know it's from Exhibit. I mean, like, what are you...
Umbrella.
This is very meta.
Umbrella.
Oh, it's a splash wall?
Yes.
Oh, that's so stupid. What a stupid pick. Sorry, I didn't even realize. I didn't even look at those weapons. It's a splash wall?
Do you know what its special is?
I see so many of me.
It's Curling Bomb Rush.
What? Why? What a useless weapon.
The Tentebrella isn't just a weapon spoon, it is a way of life, a higher plane of existence, a weapon you don't even understand. Look around and what do you see? Noobs? Plebs? When you equip that Tentebrella on your Inkling or Octoling, You are embodying the spirit of Nine and who he is. Don't look at Walkie, Spoon. Keep your eyes up front. You have to understand, Spoon, most of these people aren't ready to be Nine. With great power comes great responsibility.
I love that Kendall's the girl.
Are
I
you
love
listening
it.
to me, Spoon, or were you looking at Negus in the red dress?
Look again.
Love that Kendall's the girl.
Come on, I was born ready. Okay. Boom. Big Shack. Old tight a sneak. Scoop no. Rat no. Usna. Old tight the girl them as well. Boom. 2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths. Everyday man's on the block. Smoke trees. See your girl in the park. That girl was a uckers. When the thing went quack, 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 you man were ducking. Old tight a sneak. He's got a pumpy. Old tight my man. He's got a frisbee. I trap on the road. Moving that cornflakes. Rice crispy. Old time my girl Whitney. On the road doing 10 toes.
What a useless weapon.
10 toes. Lama toes. You man fought, I froze. I see a pen girl then I pose. If she's not on it, I ghost. Ha, look at your nose. What? You big girl? Look at your nose. Nose long like garden hose. Shh. You get me? Boom. Man's gonna come back in. You know like that? You're feeling that? You don't know. I see you shivering in that. Don't get shook, man's ear. You're protected in. Yeah? Boom. Let's go. Boom. Hop out the 4-door with the 4-4. It was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chilling in the corridor.
The tent umbrella is meta.
And he's still calling man for a draw. Let him know. Wanna see him? I'm gonna spin his jaw. Take my tricks by force. Send man shot by force. Your girl knows I've got the sauce. No ketchup. Just sauce. Raw sauce. Boom. Yo. God. The thing goes grrrr. Skibby keep pop pop. And the people boom.
It's Curling Bomb Rush!
Boom, boom. You don't know. Big Shack. Yo, yeah. Alright. Fine the booth. You get me? Man's not hot. I tell him man's not hot. I tell him man's not hot. The girl told me take off your...
So yeah, that was it. Tent umbrella. And like I said, there was no wall there. There's no wall anywhere in that clip. It's a great montage. I appreciate that people make videos about my opinions. I'm honored. But, yes, no umbrella. No wall, sorry. Anyways, see you guys later. Have a good night.
Can you tell me where the hope has gone? Can you tell me